So I'm going to be sharing the next 1 hour for us to also ask questions after that. So whatever question you have, as much as possible, keep the question somewhere. If you can also type it out so that we have it in the chat box. And after the class, we can now take all the questions at once. My co-host will help me read out the questions, right? Any questions that might come to your mind in the course of the class so that we can move as fast as possible. So we're looking at becoming a shareholder, investing in equities. So how do you become a shareholder? Who is a shareholder? How do you become one of the shareholders of any company that you desire? Equities, or when you hear the word equities, it's the same thing with saying shares or stock. So I can interchange it. I can say you want to buy equities of a company, or you want to buy shares of a company, or you want to buy stock in a company. Those three terms are referring to the same thing. And it is one of the ways that public quoted companies raise funds for their business operations from the stock market. The other way is through debt instruments like bonds, commercial papers, money market, treasury bills, and so on and so forth. So every company, every public quoted company, we have different company structures. If you want to register your business now as a startup business, you can either register as a one-man business, which is also sole proprietorship. You can register a limited liability company. You can register an NGO. And as your business begins to grow, it can grow or metamorphose into what is called a public limited liability company. So the major difference between PLC, any company you see that has PLC attached to it, it means that it's a public quoted company. It means PLC means public limited liability companies. And those companies can raise money from the floor of the Nigerian stock exchange or anywhere they are in the world. They can raise money on their stock exchange. So if you're a shareholder, if you're an equity holder in a company, what are the rights that you have? If you are a debt instrument holder, you have your rights are really limited. The only right you have as a debt instrument holder is you have the right to get the interest on the capital that you have provided. That's all. But for someone who has shares in a company, these are the rights the person has. Number one, right to participate in profit and losses of the entity. So shareholders, you get two kinds of dividend. There is what is called interim dividend. So usually companies have a structure of paying dividends twice a year. A lot of companies, not every company, but a lot of companies have the structure of paying dividends twice a year. The first one is called interim dividend, which will normally be half-year dividend. So every company from January to June, they do their accounting. They do accounting every month anyways. But from January to June, they do a summary and see, have we made profits from January to June? If they have made profits and they want to retain part of the profit and share the remaining part of the profit, because this is the way it is. Companies do not share all their profits. A very good example is you are a small business owner. You've just done, at the end of the year, you did a deal, or all the deals that you did, your total profit for the year is 5 million naira. Because you import things from Dubai to sell in Lagos, right? You can either decide to say, okay, my capital is 10 million naira, but I've made a profit of 5 million. I can say, I want to remove all the profit and spend it and continue trading with my 10 million naira. That only means that my expansion is limited. I cannot go beyond what I'm currently doing. I can also say that instead of spending this 5 million, let me remove 4.5 and add it to my capital. So I can have 14.5 million that I can now use to go and order goods the next time I'm going to the market. So that profit, what you have done, the accounting term for what you have done is called plowing back your profit. So you can plow back an element of your profit and you can share the remaining. So banks or any of these publicly listed companies now, right, once they've done their accounting for the year and they've found out what their profit is, maybe they've made a profit of 100 million. They can say 100 million. Let's take 80 million and put it back into our operations so that we can have more branches, we can hire more staff, so that we can do more things. And the remaining 20 million, let us share it to the people that gave us capital to run this business. Like going back to the example I used as you as a small business owner, let's assume that you have 10 million naira to run your business. That 10 million naira, it is not all your money because your friend borrowed you, not borrowed you, your friend invested 2 million into your business, right? Yeah. On the premise that it is not a loan, no, it is equity. I'm investing into your business, and whatever profit you make at the end of the deal or at the end of the year, I will share part of that profit based on agreed percentages, right? So at the end of the year, you can say 10 million, the profit is 5 million. The capital that we use for this business is 10 million. Your own is 2 million out of this 10 million. My own is 8 million. So for your 2 million, what percentage profit should I, am I obligated to pay you based on our pre-agreed figure, right? Then I pay you that amount. And you can say, no, I don't want everything. Put an aspect of that or an element of that profit back into the business so that I can earn more money next year. So I've just explained all of that to tell you that companies pay dividend, and they can decide, the board of directors can decide not to pay dividend any year. It is not every, they can decide to pay, they can decide not to pay based on growth that they have seen in the business, based on growth potentials. Maybe there is something urgent they need the money for, there is an expansion they want to fund, and all of that. So they pay dividend twice a year, interim dividend, which is usually profit of January to March, January to June, then final dividend, which is also the one from July to December. They pay that at the end of the year. So a lot of times, the January to June, you will see a lot of people say, oh, I've gotten my interim dividend. We got, for some of us that have shares at Access Bank, I got my own Access Bank interim dividend sometimes last month. So the fact that it is January to June doesn't mean they will pay it in June. They still need time to do filing, need time to do a lot of processing, need time to come up with a list of shareholders because they are paying to several people. So they paid it. Some paid theirs in September, some paid in October. The same way, final dividend that they will pay for this year will pay next year. So the next right you have as a shareholder is you have the right to attend AGM. AGM means annual general meetings. All public limited companies are required by law to have meetings of shareholders every year. It is called annual general meetings, right? And they can also have EGMs, which means extraordinary general meeting. So as a shareholder of any company, the dynamics or the good thing is no matter how small your shares is, you have the right, even if it is 100 units of Access Bank shares that you have the right to attend Access Bank shareholders meeting. You have the right to get notices of the meeting. The notice of meeting, you have a right to transfer your shares, meaning that the shares that I've bought in my name, I can sell it tomorrow without recourse to the company that I bought the shares in. I don't have to call Access Bank that I want to sell my shares. I can easily sell it through my stockbroker. We'll get into that in the course of this lecture later. Then you also have rights to inspect the records or books of the company if certain conditions are met. So this is very tricky, right? There are certain conditions that you need to meet, that needed to be met before you can request. For some people who say it depends on the unit of shares that you have. You need to have a certain unit of shares before you can request to see some records of the company and all of that. That's why I said if certain conditions are met. So how do you buy shares? I think it's one of the most frequently asked questions. How do you buy shares in Nigeria presently? Right. I know some of you on this call probably already have bought your shares with one app or the other, downloading app. But the challenge with buying shares through app is that a lot of the app companies that we have now, the ones that they are not really full-fledged stockbroking firm. What they have is called a micro stockbroking license, micro. So it's just like instead of you to put your money in First Bank, you are putting your money in OPay. OPay has a microfinance license, right? And we know the challenge that comes with that, especially when you are doing it for the long term. You are investing. What I'm taking you guys through is how to invest into your future and build wealth one brick after another. So I will take you through very conservative means of doing it, the best approach to doing it, which might be stressful, which might be traditional, but it is your future we are talking about. I believe that it is worth the stress. Some people have had to fill forms. They call me, all these forms are plenty now. Is there no link where I can just put my details and then? I said, would you rather fill the forms now and in 10 years' time, your money is still secured and your investment is growing? Or you find a company that give you access, you just put everything, link, pam, 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 you fill your details in 2 minutes. And in 3 years down the line, your money is gone. The decision is yours to make. So that said, what I'm saying is there are other ways to buy shares currently in Nigeria, but this is the approved government conservative traditional way, which is number one, you get a stockbroker. You cannot buy shares for yourself, right? From the floor of the stock exchange market. You can only buy shares through stockbroker. Who is a stockbroker now? Is a professional trader who is licensed. He has a license from the authority. In the case of Nigeria, there is SEC, and SEC exists in virtually all the countries of the world. Security and Exchange Commission. SEC licenses some people that have met certain requirements to become stockbrokers, right? So a stockbroker is a professional trader who buy and sell stocks and other securities. Your stockbroker does not just buy shares. He can buy other securities for you. Securities like bonds, like commercial papers, treasury bills, money market, ETFs, REITs. So I believe we're going to go into all those kind of investment in details later. I just wanted you to know that, heads up, right? A stockbroker acts as a middleman between the investor and the stock exchanges. So like I said, you cannot, it's just like you want to rent out an apartment, right? You now approach an agent to help you. The agent is now the middleman between you and the landlord. In the same way, the stockbroking firm is the landlord. You want to buy shares from the stock market because all these companies are allowed to list their companies on that stock market, but you cannot buy directly. So you need someone who has license, who has gone through all the trainings of stock exchange to understand how it works to help you. So what is a stock exchange market? A stock exchange market is also called stock market. Is an organized market for the sale and purchase of securities, such as shares or stocks, bonds, and every other kind of security that can be bought from the floor. So these are some of the common stock exchange markets in the world. JSC, which is the Johannesburg Stock Exchange in South Africa. NGX is the Nigerian, it used to be NSC before. That is Nigerian Stock Exchange Market, but it rebranded, is now NGX. So if you hear me say NGX, it's the same thing as Nigerian Stock Exchange Market, but it's Nigerian Exchange Group because they also now have other subsidiaries under them. And we have the Shanghai Stock Exchange Market and the New York Stock Exchange Market. So there are several, every country has its own stock exchange market. I've just identified some of them. So what are some of the instruments? If you go to a typical stock exchange market like NGX, what are some of the securities? So when I say securities are products. So it's like me saying, what are some of the products you will find if you go to a coal market, Lagos market in Lagos Island? You find places where they sell clothes. You find places where they sell food stuff. You find places where they sell gold. You find places where they sell different things. That's what the market is. In the same way, NGX, think about NGX like that market where they sell several things, where you can find several things. It's just now that the vendors that come and sell in that market, the vendors that come and sell in that market are all these public listed companies and the government, right, that can sell at that market. So what are some of the products that you would typically find if you go to a stock exchange market? What are the products that you will find? I've categorized them into three. There are three kinds of products you will find. Let's say three kind of departments that you will find in the stock exchange market. The first one is a place where they sell debts or debt instruments like bonds, commercial papers, treasury bills, money market, debt instrument. We're going to, like I said, we're going to pick these ones one after the other in subsequent lectures. Today, just to understand how equities, share stock, how it works. Then the other one is equities. Shares, REITs. REITs means real estate investment trust. It operates like shares as well, because the big major difference is there are some companies that are heavily invested into real estate. They develop real estate for commercial purposes. Companies like Union Homes, like about three of them that are listed. UPDC, listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange right now. What they do is they develop rental, commercial, hotels, big properties like that. They're full real estate development companies, but they are listed. So they get money from people, investors. So the same way you buy shares in MTN, in any company you want to buy shares, you can actually buy REITs in this company. So once you buy it, they also give you dividend at the end of the year when they collect rentals. Your dividend is not coming from the rentals that they collect from these properties, right? Then we also have a combination of debts and equity. So mutual fund is a combination of debt and equity, because some mutual funds invest into debt instruments. Some mutual funds invest into equity instruments, right? And also ETFs is also part of a combination of debt and equity instrument. ETFs and mutual funds are very similar. As a matter of fact, they are the same. Think about it as a pool of funds from different people. So there are people that are licensed as fund managers, right? So in Nigeria, most of these fund managers also have stockbroking licenses. So it means that someone that is a stockbroker can also be a funds manager, right? And can also be an investment bank. So meaning that they have the right, they have the license to get money from the public for themselves. So they get money for their companies and invest. Why they are funds manager? Because they have skill to manage funds on behalf of people. So it means that instead of buying shares yourself, you can look for a funds manager, right? I'm going to show you some of them in this presentation. So they collect money from a pool of people, a pool of funds from several people, and they can now invest the funds into what they like based on their own expertise of the market. They can say, okay, let's invest these funds into stock. That is why we have ETFs. The most popular ETF in the world is called S&P 500. S&P, when you hear 500, 300, and they use those numbers, S&P 500 simply means it's an ETF, right? That is a combination of 500 companies. They have identified 500 companies in the world, which are the most likely the Fortune 500, right? And they now invest into the stock of this company. So it means that if you have a contribution or you bought into an S&P 500 ETF, what you have done is you have actually bought shares of 500 companies, right? So that's what ETF and mutual fund, that is what the major difference between ETF and mutual fund is, that you can buy ETF on the floor of the stock exchange, just like you're buying shares. But for mutual funds, you have to go through a funds manager, and usually is not bought on the floor of the stock exchange. So these are some of this is a list of some of the top performing stockbroking firms in Nigeria. We have so many stockbroking firms. I think as at the last check, maybe more than 20 stockbroking firms. But these are the ones that I would personally recommend, right? That have done well year on year. And you can some of the best performing stockbrokers in 2022, according to NGX, in terms of volume in the annual broker performance report released by NGX. So Cardinal Stone Partners is one of them. It's a very big firm. The next one is Chapel Hill Denham, then Morgan Securities, APT Securities, and Cordros. So in the course of this presentation, or in the course of this program, sorry, Cordros is going to be with us. I think you'll have the timetable. Their head of marketing will be with us to just take us through some of the products that they have that might also be of interest to every one of us. So these are the lists, and these are the ones that I recommend. I've said the way to buy shares is to first open an account with a stockbroker. So in the course of this program, I'm going to also help you guys to open an account with a stockbroker of your choice. I would recommend 2 of them out of these 5. 2, Cardinal Stone Partners and Cordros. Cordros, because it is easier. It is easier to their customer service is more responsive. They don't have too many what's it called now? They're not as big as Cardinal Stone Partners, but they're also big. So debt and equity. Equity versus debt. When you invest in equities, you are buying into a company. As such, you share profit or loss of that company. This is the honest truth. When you are buying shares of a company, if that company makes loss, you are also going to suffer because they're not going to pay you your dividend. And if the share price of that company also drops, you also lose your money, because that's what you're saying. That's the risk. As a matter of fact, if you're just starting the investing journey, I wouldn't even advise you to put all your resources in equity, because equity is medium risk. So we have low risk investment, medium risk investment, high risk investment, and you have to invest across diversified portfolio. I'm going to show you how to do that. Then you also have to invest according to your risk appetite per time and according to your age. For those of you that are on this call that are still younger, maybe you are still between 21 and you are less than 40, you can take risk. It means your risk appetite should be high. You can take more risk because it's just like a 20-year-old, a 20, 25-year, in your 20s is the best time to start a business. If you want to start a business, you can fail and stand up again, fail and stand up again, fail and stand up again. But when you are 50 years old, your life is more structured. Making mistake, you can't give room for any mistake anymore. You don't have once you make any mistake, it can affect a lot of things. And just like this Japa story too, one of the things I always conclude with people is, when you are young and you think you want to Japa, that is the best time to Japa. When you don't have a family, you don't have anyone that is holding, you don't have children, for married people who have kids already, is more difficult. Leaving a job is more difficult. Let's say you are a guy, you work in a company where your boss is terrorizing you, is a terrorist, and you are tired, but you have kids and family. It's more difficult to leave. As a matter of fact, you need the permission of your spouse to leave a job when you get to that kind of bridge. Do you understand? So debt and equity. When you invest in debt instruments, you are lending money to the company at a fixed interest rate and for a fixed period. So equity, debt. As an investor, debt instruments are always very, very lower risk. They come with very low risk, meaning that even when a company is making losses, the company is still obligated to pay the debt, the people who have debt instruments in that company.
You used to chat me now.
So the company is still obligated by law to pay the people who have debt instruments in that company. So that is why it comes with low risk. Usually, when you have debt instruments like bonds, you are sure you're going to get your money back. Nothing's going to happen to the money, but the return you are going to get is going to be small. If you have debt instrument like money market might not pay you more than 10 to 12%, right? But you are sure that nothing will happen to your money. But stock, the good thing with stock is your stock can go down. But if it goes up, for instance, I give this example a lot. I bought Transcorp in the beginning of the year when Transcorp was 1 naira 30 kobo per share. I can say it because I'm on this call. I bought 1 million unit of Transcorp. I bought it at 1 million, 1.30 kobo. That's 1.3 million. As at the last check, this is January this year, 2023. As at the last time that I checked Transcorp, which is the close of work on Friday, Transcorp share is six naira, I think it's naira 15 kobo. So it means my money from 1 million, 1.3 million has gone to 6.1 million and 50,000. So I've gained on that shares alone, on that company alone, I have gained more than 5 million naira or up to 5 million naira on that, more than self, on that one company. And I have several companies. I can't be telling you all the companies. I'll tell you how to also choose a selection of companies for you to invest in their stock. So that is the magic that can happen with equities. However, there are other people, I am not part of them by the grace of God. There are other people that are also invested in some shares because they didn't look at some things. I'm going to show you what to look at. They didn't look at those things. The shares are falling now. They invested 6 million. And by now, their shares is worth 1 million. So how can you avoid those pitfalls in selecting your stock portfolio? I'll show you that. Kindly stay mute, please. So let's go into, before you invest in equities, what are the things that you need to look out for before you invest in equities? Number one, the most important thing, well, all these things are important. Let me just start from number one. The number one is government policy. You cannot, please stay mute now, please. You are distracting me. If you are not talking, it's very easy. Once you enter, the first thing you want to do is stay mute because you are distracting me and it's not good. Before you invest in equities, what are the things you need to look out for? The first thing is government policy. You cannot be a successful investor if you don't understand news, if you don't listen to news. You know why our parents used to read newspaper and listen to news a lot, even though a lot of them don't understand what they were doing, right? I think maybe they listened to the wrong news. God forgive me. But what I'm saying in essence is government policy goes a long way in impacting performance of businesses in that country. A very good example, if you are very observant, and I would encourage you, I'll mention it, in Tinubu's regime, whether you are obedient or you are Atiku or you are, this is time to forget, bury all those things and move on. I was obedient, but I've moved on because last, your life is more important than any other thing. Make your own life work in any economy. You can make your own life work. And this is not motivational talk. It is true. So government policy, what is Tinubu's priority? You want to understand it. One of Tinubu's priorities is power. Power meaning electricity. What has happened in the power sector since Tinubu came in? Number one, Power Act has been signed. Power Act has been signed. What does that mean? That means that now states in Nigeria, before now, power generation, we have power generation and we have power distribution. We have power generation companies and we have power distribution companies, and we even have transmission companies. So just like we have in the oil and gas sector, we have the upstream, midstream, downstream. Upstream are the guys in charge of exploration. They take crude oil from the ground. Exploration companies like ExxonMobil, like Shell, all those big guys. Then we have the midstream. Nigeria's midstream has not been working largely. Midstream are the refinery, the guys that convert crude oil into petrol, into diesel, into gas, into bitumen, whatever it is, you can convert crude oil to, right? The guys that do that, we don't really have them until Dangote refinery now started. All our refineries have not been functioning. Kaduna refinery, Port Harcourt refinery, all those ones. That's why we've largely been importing. We export our crude oil and then we import petrol, and is a mess, right? But if you are attentive to the news, you will see that power is one of the things that is gaining priority. That Power Act that was signed means that states can now generate their electricity themselves. The implication of that is the state government can now bring more investment into the company. The power sector is now more attractive to investors. That is why Geregu is one of the major power generation company. We have Gencos and Discos. Gencos is generation company, Discos are distribution companies. If you live in Lagos, island or mainland, island, you'll be under Eco Electric. Mainland, you'll be under Ikeja Electric. Other parts of Southwest, you'll be under Ibadan Electric. Kaduna Electric, whatever electric that is the region that Port Harcourt Electric, whatever electric that is under the division you are living, those are power distribution companies, right? So now the power sector is more attractive to investors. Why do you think Otedola and Elumelu not physical fight, fought with resources in the beginning of the year over ownership of Transcorp? Is because of power. They saw what was going to happen to the power sector. Now, that is why Geregu's shares, when I bought Geregu's shares earlier in the year, I bought it less than 300 naira. Right? Someone even said she bought her own last year 280. As at yesterday, you saw the post I made. Geregu shares is now 395. On Geregu shares, I have gained 95 naira on one shares just from January till date. If I have one, I didn't have 1 million. I don't have that money yet. But if I have 1 million shares in Geregu, right, I would have made 95 million from January to date. And this is not scam money. This is not, it is just free money that people can make. But people are too carried away by social media news. Hey, Nigeria is bad. Dollar is now 1.5. Yes, dollar is 1.5. Thank God it's not 1.5. I'm just joking. Is as at this morning, I think it has gone to 900 and something. Someone messaged me and said, when this dollar thing was rising, that do you think I should buy dollar and keep? I said, buy and keep if you like. It's your decision. But you can see clearly. You can see that government is doing things. I'm not pro-government, but I'm pro-economy. I want to study what is happening and shut out my eyes to negative news and speculate. It's called speculations. What people that are not rooted in economics, they are the ones advising us on social media. Will now be listening to them and we make wrong decisions because of that. So if you had bought dollar, because dollar was going up, you bought it at 1.3. Now, because you were hoping to get to 1.5, today now dollar has gone to 900 and something. You have lost 400. How many days? So we should learn to look at things. And why is dollar coming down now? Why is it coming down? Number one thing that has happened, government has cleared backlog of forex. So you would hear that foreign airlines were struggling with repatriation of funds, right? They couldn't take out their money, all the flights. What's this one? This airline from Dubai, Emirates couldn't take out their money from Nigeria because usually what would happen is, what used to happen normally is when you buy a flight ticket as a Nigerian, you are paying in naira from your own account, but that money, there is something that happens behind the scene. That money is eventually paid to the owner. That money goes to CBN from your bank. You own a Zenith Bank account. You pay with your Zenith Bank card. You have paid. You have gotten your ticket. You have gone to your Dubai. You have traveled. But what normally happens is that money will be posted from Zenith Bank against CBN. CBN is supposed to supply the dollar equivalent of that money, and that dollar is now paid out to Emirates. It's now credited into Emirates international account in their Dubai account, so that it's a dollar denominated account. That way, because of that, CBN always needs dollars to pay for these transactions that Nigerians do from day to day, right? And there was shortages. They didn't have the dollar to pay, and that was what got us into Emefiele too wasn't very good with his policies, and that was what got us into this mess of forex and dollar. Now, they had backlogs with banks. They were owing banks. They couldn't pay back because it will become a burden on banks themselves. Bank will now go and source for forex just to build themselves out. So government was owing, or CBN was owing, I think they said about $7 billion or 3 point something billion. So they paid part of it. They cleared all the backlogs. Because they cleared all the backlogs, that gave the economy a boost. And they also said $110 billion was coming into the country. What is also happening to us? How can we solve this problem permanently? This problem of forex permanently is until we become export oriented. For instance, a country like South Korea, it will interest you to know that South Korea's currency to dollar is actually worse than a naira to dollar. South Korea's won.
Yeah.
South Korea's won to dollar is 1,300. But they don't mind. They like it like that. Do you know why? Because they are more of an export-oriented country. The more they export, the more dollar come into there because they know that they will get all the money back. It's to their favor. The more dollar they get to their country, the better. We are the opposite of that. We don't produce anything. We import everything, including toothpaste and all of that. So government, what am I saying? Government policy is very important. If you are very observant, power is one of the sectors that will do very well under Tinubu. I don't like Tinubu, but I'm just saying what I've seen, what I've read, what he's doing. You don't have to like him, but this is the way to make your own life better in his regime. Government policy is one of the things you consider. So if I were you, I'll be buying shares of power companies like Transcorp, like Geregu. I will be buying oil and gas companies. Right? Even oil and gas companies now they might not really do exceptionally well because now we are now beginning to talk about alternative fuel like CNG. Ogun State government last week received its first batch of CNG powered buses. So now Lagos State is also doing that pilot, but Harcourt is doing that pilot as well. So there's a move towards CNG. I said all of this to help you understand that news affects everything that happens to your investment. That is why you cannot afford to. The only news, your news agency where you get your news cannot be Instablog or Bola Naija or Bella Naija or Linda Ikeji. You identify places where you can get economic news. Example, Nairametrics. After this call, if you are not following Nairametrics, go and follow them on Instagram. I don't work for them, but they give you economic-based news. Follow Forbes Africa. Follow Business Insider Africa. Those are platforms that gives you an understanding to what is happening. Follow Business Day. News that when you see a news, the first thing you have to be thinking about is how does this affect my investment? How does it affect my money? How can I make more money from this? Because there are people that this is how to position yourself for wealth. In every administration, there are two set of people. There are those that will suffer lack, that they will cry throughout of lack and want. But there are those that will be making money. No matter how, it's because they understand how to tilt themselves towards the good side of that policy. Let me move on. The next thing you want to look at. So I'm just giving you guys hints on what to look out for. Banking industry is going to do very well in this administration. So if I were you, I'll be investing into power companies. I'll be investing into banks. Right. The next one you want to look at the financial performance of the company. So there's something called annual financials or financial reports. In every company's AGM, they read what is called the financial report. If you go to any company that you want, GT Bank, any public listed company, it is authorized by law that they make public their statement of accounts. So it means it is available to anybody online. So I can go and I can Google GT Bank. If you think I'm lying, you can be doing it on your own, like I'm saying it right now. If you have your phones or something, you can Google GT Bank annual report for 2022. You'll see it online. You can download it and read it and read what happened, what is the state of health of the bank, right? In the financial, what are the things they're looking for? They're looking at their profitability. In the last 2-3 years, what is their profit? Have they made profit in the last 2-3 years? You want to look at that. What is their assets? Is their assets growing or depleting? Because these are some of the signs that something is wrong with the company. If in 2022, they said they have 100 branches, and in 2023, the number of branches shrank to 15, you know that obviously something is wrong. That's not the time to invest in that kind of company. Except maybe there is a very good reason. We could be that, okay, we now want to become a more digital bank and want people to adopt. Even that said, it's not an excuse that is strong enough. The next one is dividend history. You want to consider this company, have they paid dividend in the last 5 years? 5 years is the minimum. When you're analyzing a company, 5 years is the minimum. Have they paid dividend for the last 5 years consecutively? If they have not paid, what has happened? So let's say they didn't pay dividend in 2022, in 2021, and 2022 they multiplied their branches. That is good. What that means, based on the previous explanation I gave, it would mean that they have plowed back a larger portion of their profit into business expansion, which is also to the benefit of the shareholders in the future. So if that has happened, so they didn't pay dividend in 2020, but in 2021, there is a significant growth in the value of their assets. So that is good for it means that is good for you, right? Then the next one is news. I already explained news and outlook of that industry in reference to government, because you cannot really, most times I put them together, I would say government policy, news, outlook of the industry, because one actually leads to another. How does the government policy affect that industry? What is the outlook? You know that the banking industry, what has been happening in the banking industry in the last couple of years? What is the outlook in the next 1 or 2 years? What's likely to happen, right? For instance, now we heard that towards the beginning of the year, I think a few months ago, we heard that SVB collapsed. SVB is Silicon Valley Bank. That's one of the biggest bank in the world in the US. And then the bank just went under. How does that kind of collapse? How does it affect integrity of other banks? Because investors will now be like, if a bank like SVB is in assets, SVB is the size of 5 Nigerian banks. At least you put Zenith Bank, you put Access, our largest bank, you put 5 together. That is the size in terms of the asset base of that bank, but the bank still collapsed. So it means anybody can collapse. That is why you need to do your assignments very well. The last thing you want to look at is the leadership. When you want to invest in a company, go to the website of the company, check the leadership, go to board of directors, our team. The board of directors, who are the people on the board? Are they people who have EFCC cases? Google their names. That's why I'm saying this thing is work. To be an investor, to correct the wrongs of our parents and do these things right. It is hard work, right? Leadership, you Google each of them. For instance, now maybe you see one corrupt politician is their chairman. That's cases left, right, center with EFCC. You want to be careful. Even though you're going to invest in that kind of company, it will be one leg in, one leg out kind of investment, and it's going to be short term that you'll be monitoring every day. So these things are really very important. So those are the 5 important things that you look out for in investing in equities of a company. Then the next one is, how do you make money from shares? How do you make money from shares? There are two principal ways that you make money from shares. Can you guys hear me though? Or am I just talking to myself?
Yeah, we are hearing you, sir.
We are hearing you.
Thank you.
We can hear you.
We're hearing you. We can hear
Thank you. Thank you so much. So there are 2 principal ways that you invest into the stock or equity that you make money. 2 ways that you make money from the shares of a company. The first one is through dividend, which I already explained. The dividend is divided into 2. Interim dividend, which they pay half year, and then final dividend that they pay at the end of the year. And of course, capital gain. In some places, this capital gain can also be called capital appreciation. So meaning that I told you I bought Transcorp. Let me use another shares that I bought. I also have Access Bank. When I bought my Access Bank, I think I bought at 13. I can't remember. It's because it's been a while now, right? But my shares has appreciated in value. So if I bought at 1 naira and it is now 2 naira per share, it means I've gained 1 naira. That gain is called capital appreciation or capital gain. So I can decide to say I want to sell it off. I think the best thing that can happen to anyone is when you want to buy anything, that's the life that I want to live. That's the life. I'm not living it in fullness right now, but that's the goal. When they say heaven is the goal, that's my investment goal. That I want to buy anything in the world. I just look at my portfolio, which of the interest for my investment can pay for these assets. I just remove the money from there, pay for whatever I want to pay for. I'm not closing that investment though. Don't forget, it is the interest. For instance, now, I give you Transcorp as an example. I've made 5 million from Transcorp. I want to buy anything that is 1 million now. I just remove 1 million. It's gain. It's not the money, it's gain. I just want 1 million from what I want to buy. I buy what I want to buy, and I move on. That's the best life that anyone can live. Then, so I said these are some of the because I know that you ask for recommendation, my own personal recommendation of the shares that I have that I will encourage you to buy based on, and I won't tell you to buy shares just for buying sake. This is from January to date. From January to date, these are the top performing stock that have done significantly well from January to date. The first one is Transcorp. I told you Transcorp. When I did this slide, Transcorp was 6.12. It was 1.30 in January. It's now 6.12 when I did this. I think I did this slide maybe sometime last month. It's probably more than that, 6.12 right now. So Transcorp has increased from 1.30 to 6.2. Second one is Champs. This Champs, I didn't have shares in Champs until I did this analysis. That was when I went to buy, right? Champs was at the beginning of the year was 0.22 kobo. It is now 1.40 as at the last day, right? The third one is Transcorp Hotels, right? Can you please admit this person? Admit this person. Someone is waiting. Transcorp Hotels. So Transcorp Hotels has also moved from 6 points. Look at this move. Look at this move of Transcorp Hotel. This is not me. I hope I'm not the one that created all these things. Where I created the slides. This information, they are there for public consumption. It's not, I'm not telling you fables. After this call, I'll send you this slide. Go and Google and check it yourself. I'm just giving you fact and figures based on what I saw. See what Transcorp Hotel has done. It was 6 naira in January. As at the last time, it's 44 naira. So this Transcorp has gained more than 30 naira per share. So think about it, if you have 100,000 units, you bought the 100,000 units at 6.25 times 100,000. That's probably like 6.250 million, right? 6,250,000 naira. That your 6 million has become 44 million. How like how best can this thing be? Like, it's so easy to make passive income. It's easy to make passive income. Then number 4, MRS oil. MRS has moved from 14 naira, right, to 109. It's not me. Like I said, you can Google this thing and check them for yourself after the call. Look at shares has moved from 14 naira to 109. So meaning that if you had 14 for the shares that you bought 14 million is now worth 109 million. So someone said, you're using big figures. Okay, let's go to small figure. The shares that you bought 14,000 naira is now worth 109,950 naira. If that makes you feel more comfortable, right? It's not me that, like I said, it's not me. These things are there, public consumption. Number 5, Computer Warehouse Group. It has moved from 1 naira per share to 8 naira 65 kobo per share. Will it continue to go up? Nobody, I don't have that. Honestly, do not have that answer. What I've only told you is based on market knowledge, right? Based on happenings. This MRS oil, as it got into there's something that is called peak. Because usually when shares rise, it will peak at a level and then start coming down. Or to peak at a level and stay there. Another thing happens maybe in 5 years, 10 years down the line, it goes up again. Or it might stay there. So these things we can only just do permutation and combination, right? Like they will say in mathematics, right? So what are some of the shares that I think you should consider buying? Apart from the top 5 that I've mentioned that I did well last year, this year from January to date, these are some of the other shares. I personally bought shares in these guys. It's called Fugas. So in Nigeria, we classify all our banks into 2 sectors. We have the top tier banks. Top tier banks is categorized into with this acronym called Fugas. Fugas meaning F for First Bank, U for UBA, G, GTB, A, Access Bank, and Z, Zenith. So these are the top tier banks in Nigeria that you can consider buying shares in. Think about it. First Bank has been here for how many years? First Bank is going nowhere, to be sincere. A lot of our banks are really going nowhere. The worst that can happen is, okay, there'll be a merger, right? But a lot of these banks that we have right now, they are highly capitalized banks that are going nowhere. Then I mentioned creating diversified portfolios. So this is it. Creating diversified portfolio across assets. There are two levels of diversified portfolio. There is creating diversified portfolio on your asset level across, creating a portfolio across different asset class, right? That's the first level. Then the second layer of diversification is now within those assets, you also need to diversify. So it's like diversification at one level, diversification at the next level. And I will explain that. This is what your portfolio should look like. This is not on the slide. This is what your portfolio should look like. Should have real estate. Maybe your entire portfolio should have 35% real estate. Then you should have cash and cash equivalent, cash or cash equivalent, like treasury bills, money market, and all of that, like another 25%. Because it doesn't make any sense for, I have people that made the mistake. That's why I said information is power. Information is very important. There were people that put all their assets in real estate. It means the only thing they have in the world is real estate. I have a friend who has a property worth 50 million. His property is worth 50 million and he needed just 5 million. He didn't have it. So you had no choice than to go and, in Yoruba we say, Lubanjo. Lubanjo is also called distressed sales. They will now go and sell the property that is worth 50 million for 30 million. They will now lose because they don't understand diversification. They don't understand that you don't put all your money in one kind of asset. You must spread it.
Yeah, they were just having the gist about it with the hostel. That's it.
Can you mute yourself? You must spread it. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. So you have real estate, 35%. You have cash and cash equivalent, 25%. You have stock. Maybe it's equities, stock, maybe another 10% or 20%. Let's say you've done your stock percentage as 10%. It means the total asset, everything that you own in your world, 10% of it should be in stock. Okay? That's the percentage that I'm using. You don't have to use my percentage. That is my own personal percentage. That at the end of when I'm 50, I want all my investments. By the time I look at all my investment, my portfolio, I open all my portfolio like this. 10% of it is in stock. But that 10% in stock too, I would not put that stock in one place. I would now say that my 10% that is in stock, maybe 2% will be in banking stock, 2% will be in oil and gas, 2% will be in tech, 2% will be in manufacturing. That is how to diversify your investments across asset in asset. So can you kindly mute yourself, please? If you're not talking, just mute yourself now, please, so that it's easier for all of us. As I'm getting feedback, you are making me forget what I want to say. It's really annoying. Please. So the rule of investment is never to put your eggs in one basket. Banking stocks, banking stocks like Fugas. Apart from these Fugas, we also have some emerging banks. They're also part of those that are really behind that. Once the Fugas, in fact, they're even trying to overtake the Fugas. For instance, now when we heard that, which bank did we hear? The news was all over the place. Is it SunTrust or one of these new banks that they just created? Is it SunTrust? I've forgotten now. Was trying to acquire Union Bank. I want Titan. Titan, thank you. Titan was going to acquire Union Bank. I said, Titan, this small bank. How can you acquire this big bank? So those are some of the news that should catch your attention. That, oh, what is wrong with Union Bank? That a smaller bank wants to buy them over. This Titan Bank, what are those behind it? Right? What is the prospect? Okay, if this bank acquired these banks, what would happen? How would it affect the shares of Union Bank and Titan Bank and all of that? So Sterling Bank is one of the other shares that has done remarkably well. I think Sterling has moved from 2 or 3 to like 6. It has done more than 100%. This year I have shares in Sterling as well, right? Another kind of stock you want to be. I'm teaching you, don't forget what I'm taking you through now is how to create a diversified portfolio. You can use any percent. As a matter of fact, there is no hard and fast rule that, oh, this is the rule. No. But there is a template. The template is don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Spread it. Use percentages. And I've told you what I do. My own. I said I want all my wealth, 10% to be in equities. Out of that equity, I want to put 2% in banking stock, another 2% in manufacturing. So manufacturing, I have shares in companies like Bois, I have in flour mills, I have Dangote Cement. Dangote has 2 listed companies, in fact, 3 companies. And one is going, they have Dangote Cement, Dangote Sugar, Dangote Rice is not listed. Then there is salt, right? So, but there's going to be a merger. And if you've also seen that in the news, there's already a plan to merge. I think it will happen early next year, where Dangote Sugar will merge with Dangote Rice and Dangote Salt, right? Dangote Salt, the name of Dangote stock currently, you won't see Dangote stock on stock exchange. You will see NASCON because it's an acquisition, right? NASCON is Nigerian Salt Company, right? So he acquired that company. So those 3 companies are becoming one. Immediately that news was announced few months ago, immediately that news, the share price of Dangote's sugar jumped from, I think, from 30 something to about 60 something. So this is how the stock market responds to news. What I'm saying is you cannot be a successful investor if you are anti-news and you let all these people that don't know anything about economics to be the one giving you news to follow. You are going to be losing a lot. So please. So aviation stock. So that's how to diversify your portfolio. I think that's the end of the slide. So I can also give room for questions. Rose, do you have questions? My co-host, if you have questions that are already typed out, please. Rose, you can go first. Rose, you can go for if you have questions. You start first, then
okay.
We'll go next.
Please, are there questions? Any?
No. I'm saying read the questions. There are some questions already.
Okay.
Just check if there are questions already. If there are no questions.
Yeah, I got one question here. They said, please, how does one get to sell shares? Or better still, how do you get access to the interest from compounding?
Okay, thank you.
I don't know.
I got the question. So first and foremost, when you open your account with all these stockbroking firms, you can mute yourself. Once you read the question, just mute yourself. So once you buy shares from all this company, they open an account for you. The account also comes with username and password. They create a username and password for you on their dashboard. All of them have their trading platform. Just like when you open a GT account, your account automatically comes with ability to use their mobile app. You just need to download it and request, what is my username and password, and they will create it for you by virtue of having account with them. That's the same way all stockbroking platforms work. All stockbroking companies work, sorry. When you open an account with them, they give you that username and password that you can use to see their dashboard, right? So from their dashboard, you can issue a buy instruction. Buy, meaning that just after, like I've taken you through all this talk now, and I'll see that Geregu is doing well. I want to buy Geregu. I just go to, I just need log on, see Geregu and buy. Choose buy, pay with my ATM. What you have done, you have not really bought. What you have done is you have given your stockbroker an instruction to buy because they are the ones that can buy. Their stockbroking firm is just designed in such a way that you can see the activity of the stock market, you can see the pricing, and it's also advisable to buy during the time slot of the market opening. The market will normally open from 10 a.m. to about 2:30 every day, every working day, Mondays to Fridays. So if you buy along those times, if you buy a weekend, some platform it will go, but by Monday, if the price has changed, they will reject your order. But because the price might change, the price might increase, but when the market is open, you see it, you can give the same way that you give a buy instruction. It's the same way you can issue a sell instruction. It's just on your app now. You see, if you can use Jumia to buy something, you can use any platform. It's like you're buying something on Jumia. You will see all the stock, you see the prices, and in your own folder, you see the stock that you have. You can say, no, I have 1,000 units of Access Bank. I want to sell 100. I just select 100. To show me how much I click on sell. Once I sell from my end and my stockbroker sells, the money is credited into my bank account, the one I've provided when I was opening the account. The money is sent to that account, and that's why you can take advantage of the selling. Another question, please?
Someone said, are there
Yeah,
apps like Bamboo and the rest for local stocks that allows for purchase of fragmentation shares?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Are there apps like Bamboo?
Are there apps like Bamboo and the rest for local stocks that allow for the purchase of fragmentation shares?
What are fragmentation shares? Okay, let me just answer.
I think it was Alfred that asked that question.
So this is it. Bamboo allows you to buy international stock, right? That is, you want to buy shares of Microsoft, of Google, Meta, banks, or banks abroad, JP Morgan, Chase, and all those other companies that are not in Nigeria. Bamboo is like a midwife that brings those stock closer to you. But the challenge, I'm struggling to say this because I don't want it taken out of context. The challenge with using app for me, especially this tech platform, this new tech platform I just started 3-4 years ago, I cannot plan my future with them. That's it. I might be wrong, but that is my own honest opinion that I will tell anybody when I'm confronted with. I'm not saying anything will happen to them, but because I'm planning long term, don't forget I'm buying these shares for long term, 20 years time, 10 years time, probably for my kids. And I'm using a platform that the CEO of the platform self is a youth, a young person. This is not discrimination against young people, but please, I like doing things. I like going through the conservative way, which is more difficult, which might involve, because if you want to open a Cordros account now, they will send you forms. You will fill form, maybe 10 pages form. You attach your passport. They will ask you to bring your utility bill, your address. They will verify your address. It's a longer process, but because it's my future, I'd rather do that. So I really personally take it from me. I say it on my platform, and this is why. Do you know how many apps have approached me to do marketing for them? I do not do things I don't believe in. I don't have confidence. What I don't have confidence in, I don't do. There are some businesses I would never advertise for. Apps is one of them, right? However, some of the other stockbroking firms, and this is why I said it. I was using app myself 2 years ago. I was using one app, wealth.ng, right? I'll mention it. You guys can also go confirm. But because I'm a very active investor, and I want to also teach you that skill. Active meaning that when you have your money somewhere, ask questions. Be asking questions a lot. That's what I found out about Nigeria. That once they see that you are only wahala, like if maybe because I've worked in the bank, I was a banker, so I have that experience. That bankers, we don't like customers that make trouble. We want to preserve everything that belongs to them because this guy will come and make trouble with us. We'll come and shout. We don't want shouter. So we want to go the extra mile to preserve anything that belongs to them. So that is the impression I always, that's the mindset I have with dealing with these people. So I had my shares with them, and I ask questions a lot, ask them questions a lot. I just realized that their app wasn't updating. Maybe the app was on NGX. I will compare price sometimes. I will go to NGX and see what is the price. NGX is Nigerian exchange, I've told you guys. NGX will update the price every day. I will see that their own price is different from what NGX is showing. So discrepancies every day. And I kept asking, if I call their customer care before, if I call now, they will answer. Now, if I call, they say they will get back. If I send an email, 48 hours, 1 week, they may not respond until you send like 15, 20 mails before they respond. So one day just occurred to me to ask that when I have a share, when I buy my shares through you guys, do I have my own CSCS account? So that's another dynamics. When you buy shares through app, a lot of them do not open you a CSCS account. CS is Central Security Clearing System. It's like how CSCS provides an oversight function, oversight responsibility to stockbroking firms. They are more like check and balances. It means that if I tell my stockbroker to buy me 1,000 units, right? Before now, if they don't buy 1,000 units, how will I know? Now it's easier because you get the receipt, you get the, what if the receipt is doctored? So how do you know all of this? CSCS is the balance. CSCS is an independent body, right? That is like CBN, as CBN is to commercial banks, that's the way CSCS is to stockbroking firm. So as your stockbroker is opening you a stockbroking account, they're also opening you they are letting you fill a form, a CSCS form that they will send to CSCS to also open an account for you. So they're opening 2 accounts for you at the same time. Meaning that today now I can ask CSCS, not today, I mean today, by today, you already know what I mean, Monday, when they are open. I can call CSCS and say, send me my statement of account. When CSCS sends my statement of account, it shows all the shares I have in all the companies and the units and the value. I can ask my stockbroker, send me my statement of account, my stockbroker at different times. So they'll both send. I will sit down and compare. Is there any discrepancy? But with these app companies, you don't have CSCS. You are trading on their own CSCS accounts. You are trading on their own. It means the traditional means I've just taught you. Traditional means if the stockbroking firm that I'm with now, I'm with Cordros and Cardinal Stone. If they shut down today, the only thing I just need to do is carry my account. My account is my own. It will say, I'll carry my account to another stockbroking firm that is still existing. Easier. But this app company, they shut down today. Your shares gone. Foul. So decision is now yours to choose. So next question, please, because of time.
If you had shares long time ago with a particular coin, how do you get to check your current value?
So just go to NGX site, check the name of the company. You see the current market value of the shares there. It's easy. Anybody can do that. Or you call your
if for instance I buy shares for 1 year for 10 naira per share, and in 6 months it increased to 30 naira, must I wait for 1 year before I sell?
No, you don't. You don't have to wait for one. So that's why I said there are two ways to approach stock market. You can do it as an active, in fact, you can do it as an active investor, right? Meaning that you are there to really make money. Immediately you hear that, you see that the price has increased, you can sell it off, take the money, put it in another place. It's left for you. You can do that. But you must have the skill. You have the skill, you have the knowledge of how to predict the market, what will go up, what will come down, and all of that. Yeah, but you don't have to wait though. You can sell, if your shares increase today, you can sell it today and get your money. Nobody will catch you.
Okay. So you mentioned you bought some shares in January. What is the advisable period to buy shares? When a share has peaked, what does one do for the shares to stop falling? Is it advisable to sell at any point, and why would that be?
Okay. If the share has peaked and it has started to fall, what can you do? Nothing. And that is why, the kind of people I read about, one of the persons I follow a lot is Warren Buffett. And he says that he has experienced 3 crashes of the market, three cycle of crashes. He saw people, because the stock was crashing, they quickly remove their money. He just sat down looking at it like this. Let it crash now. No problem. To rise again. Let it crash. It will rise again. Why could he do that comfortably? Because of diversification. That's what I'm saying. Investing is a game. Don't put all your, like me now. I told you now that I only have 10% of my portfolio in stock. If let's say everything, God forbid, everything goes, pata, I've only lost 10% of what I have. That's the wisdom. If all the companies, I have shares now, I think about 13 companies across different industries. If all those 13 companies shut down, which cannot happen, I have only lost 10%. I still have 90% of what I have in other places. Except, okay, maybe when Jesus now comes back and everything, the world is rolled away like carpet. That one, we all have no choice again. But what can you do when the market has peaked? What can you do to stop it from falling? Nothing. You cannot do anything. The best thing you can do is take your money out when the market is falling and you don't have that shock absorber. So some of us, me, if my shares is falling, first, I have identified the company that will grow. I don't just buy all shares. There are shares that I buy. I've identified those shares. I've bought my shares. I've put my money there. I can go and sleep. But I don't even check. My stockbroker sends me daily news of the stock market. So that's another benefit. They send you daily news, daily news. Sometimes I don't even read them because I've gone to bed about them. So a lot of people are raising their hands. So let's see if we can take as much questions as possible. Go on.
Hi, I'm sorry. I was going to ask the question that you just answered.
So let's do this. Hold on. Let's do this. So let's have one person speak the question, then read the question. Speak question, read question until we're done. Because some people are comfortable speaking than writing. Oh yeah, let's have a speaking person now.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The first part of the question I asked, you have not answered the first part of the question, which was you saying you bought both of your shares this January. So my question was, at what time do you think is actually advisable to buy the stocks or shares? Thank you.
Thank you. I bought mine in January mostly because January is when I have access to huge money. I have 9 to 5. So they pay me, for instance, I get my housing allowance in January. I get my bonuses in December. So I have a huge chunk of money in January. So that's why it seems as though that's the time I buy shares. You can buy shares anytime in the year. It is when you have money. So usually that time I have huge money. I put it in all this investment. And then over the years, from my salary as well, I have a figure that I also invest across this diversified portfolio on a monthly basis. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person. Let's do a reading question. Read.
When I'm buying shares, whose account am I paying to? Is it the stockbroker's company's account or the company I'm buying the shares?
The stockbroker account. You're paying it because they're the ones buying for you. They'll buy for you. Just ensure that you're not paying into the person's account. For instance, now I work with Codros. You want to buy shares. You want Codros to help you buy shares. And I say pay into Sheyi Abiodun's account. That's a wrong move. No. Make sure you pay into Codros account. And I also advise, let there be email trail. Email, preferably. Email communication. That's what that's what they will request for because email is tenable under the law. If anything goes wrong, you can actually take someone to the court and it's a tenable piece of evidence that the law court will admit. Thank you. A speaking question now.
Hello, good afternoon.
Kosi, good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to ask, I normally buy shares using Bamboo but on your Instagram post, you've always mentioned that you got monthly dividends, or was it biannual dividend? Is it just in Nigerian shares that works, or do you mind shedding more light on that?
All right, thank you, Kosi. I mentioned that all companies in Nigeria, in fact, not all companies, but most companies in Nigeria, let me take that again. Most companies in Nigeria pay dividend twice a year. There's what is called interim dividend and what is called final dividend. So you always get interim dividend, interim meaning half year dividend. So from their January to June operations, they do their accounting. How much profit have we made? How much do we want to plow back? How much do we want to share to our shareholders? So they give dividend half year, and they give, which is interim dividend, and they give dividend at the end of the year, which is final dividend. So they pay twice. But some of them I choose to pay once. It depends on what the board of directors agree. But I think a lot of them, at least, I have in Access, I have in BUA, I have in GC, I have in Zenith, I have in, those are the ones that I've gotten half-year dividend for. I've gotten for Access, Zenith, GT, BUA. Yeah.
Okay, the top 5 companies that you recommended when you were making your presentation, do they also make this payout? That's my final question. Thank you.
Okay, for Transcorp Hotels, Transcorp Hotel has not done dividend. They didn't do half-year dividend. I didn't get anything from them. For Transcorp PLC as well, they didn't do half-year dividend. That's why I said it's always a choice. And I also explained that there are times that the company may not even pay dividend, right? For me now, like I told you, Transcorp, even if Transcorp doesn't pay me shares this year at all, I've made more than enough. My 1 million has become 6 million. That is even though they don't pay me dividend or that 1 million, what they'll probably pay is 50 kobo per share. So 50 kobo per share for 1 million unit of shares. I'm only getting 500K for dividend, but I've made 5 million already. If I want to sell that shares as of today, but the advantage is if I sell the shares now, will I now buy it back? Well, so it doesn't make any sense. What if it goes up more? So that's the fear of, or the, what's it called now? You have to always weigh the options. So companies are not obligated to pay dividend. It is not an offense if they don't pay dividend, right? Because they may see growth prospect that they want to take advantage of. I've explained that before. You are someone who runs a small business. When you were going to, you buy goods from Dubai that you come to sell in Nigeria. The goods that you bought, 10 million naira. Out of that 10 million, your friend gave you 5 million. Yours is 5 million. When you sold, you made profit of 5 million. It means you have a total of 15 million. And your promise to your friend was that after you have sold, though, you will share the profit 50%. So at the end of that deal, you are supposed to give your friend 7.5 million and take your own 7.5 because 5 million is your money. 2.5 is the profit you have made. 5 million is your friend's money. 2.5 million is the profit he has also made. You can put now outside that, if we can make 5 million from this business, we can make more money next year. Or if we increase the quantity and we buy more, let's not share the money now. Let's put it together again and take advantage of opportunities because people are still asking for the products in the market. So that's a very good reason why companies may not pay dividend. But it is not now something that happens every year, like year on year, they're not paying dividend. No, it's not a good sign. I hope that answers your question. So let's do a reading question.
Are shareholders to partake in making decision of either paying dividend or not?
No. Paying dividend is for board of directors. But in annual general meetings, right, the board of directors would have agreed, because don't forget, the board of directors are your representative. Who are the people who appoint? I said one of the rights of a shareholder is to vote. Who do you think you're voting for at the annual general meeting? You're voting for the board now. You're saying, oh yeah, this director. They would say there is a motion. I think everybody, please attend annual general meeting if it is once. I've attended several. Sometimes I attend online. Some of them will even stream it. Get the YouTube, attend, just see how it happens. You know, if you can. The one for Boa happened at Transcorp. You might have 100 units of shares. You can sit beside a big man that has 1 million units. No discrimination shareholder. You are both shareholders. Attend, network. Use it as a networking platform to network with professionals and change your life. So what I'm saying in essence is you are the ones that have appointed the board. When you appointed the board can make decisions on your behalf. And one of the decisions they can make is dividend. All right, let's have a speaking question. Solomon, you can speak.
Hello, Mr. Sheikh.
Okay, Usman is
I'd
speaking.
like to ask a couple of questions. The first one is okay, just two or three. The first is is it preferable going through a stockbroker or through an app? Because it's much easier through an app. But how do you find a stockbroker? You keep talking about your stockbroker. Like, how do we find a stockbroker, and what are the qualities we should look when finding or searching for a stockbroker?
Okay, number one, how do you find, is it advisable to buy through app or through a stockbroker? I already said that. I already answered that. It depends. Maureen, hold on, I'm still talking. So it depends on if you're doing long term, I always advise that because this is my own opinion, my perspective, I might be wrong. I'd rather go the conservative way, right? How do you find it? So conservative way meaning I want to look out for bigger players, bigger companies that have been in existence for 5-10 years, because I'm investing into my future. So I want to look at the strength of the player. What is their portfolio size? What is their asset size? And in the course of my presentation, I showed you, let me show you again. I showed you biggest stockbroker. I showed you this list. I showed you this list of 5 stockbroking firms in Nigeria presently that NGX said they pulled the highest volumes in 2022. Volume in terms of the size of transactions that they delivered. It means more people use these guys, right? So these are their names, 5 of them. There are over 20 stockbroking firms in Nigeria, accredited stockbroking firms. All you need to do, let's say you don't like any of these 5, just Google SEC, put SEC accredited stockbrokers in Nigeria. You find it, you find the list. You find the list either on SEC's websites or one article that someone has written before that borders around that topic, right? So once you find it, for instance, if I see Cardinal Stone, I want to contact Cardinal Stone. I just Google Cardinal Stone. I just Google Cardinal Stone, get their number, call them, or send them an email, check their office. If I'm closer to where they are, maybe I live on the island, Cardinal Stone is in Ikoyi, I can walk into their office. These are investment banks. You understand? So they have physical offices. Right? But if I'm abroad and I want to do it the same way, I just call them, I send them an email, they send me their process to tell me. Some of them even allow you to. Who is? Can you mute yourself? You're not talking. Some of them will allow you to fill the form on their website, fill the application or account opening form from their website, and they have it done for you. So it's quite easy. So those are the various options that you can explore to open.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Last question. When do you know to cash out on the stock?
Guys.
Hold on, Rosalie. Usman is still talking.
Sorry about that. Last question. When do you know to cash out on a stock? Like you said something about, I think it was Garigu or Transcorp or something, that after a couple of months you got about like 6 point something. How do you know if to just keep on sticking with collecting dividends or when to just cash out on your stocks? Do you like just take everything out or you leave a certain percentage in or you just take everything? How do you go about it? How do you know when to cash out?
Okay, so this also depends on your investment goals. You can invest for several purposes. Some people use their stock investment to build capital that they can now use for something else. So my goal is to let it be there for a while, right? So if I get to a certain state where I want to now invest into real estate, I want to buy a property that is 100 million. I don't want to struggle to be looking for the 100 million. I just go into which of my stock can pay for this investment at this time. And I just sell it and buy whatever property I want to buy at that time. So you can use a portfolio, you can use a stock portfolio to build resources to do another investment that is capital intensive. Do you understand? So that's why I said it all depends on your goals. Why you need, what do you want to achieve? And so there is no specific rules around that.
But what if like I see a news online and it says something about there's probably like an issue with the company? Should I use that fear of the news to cash out, or should I just be confident on the history of the company and just stick with it in a case like that?
So this is where wisdom and discretion now comes in, right? If you hear a news that is negative about a company, right, a lot of people would sell, right? So it's not for you to sell. As a matter of fact, sell. Why are you still there? But some people will say, no, I would rather be there. So you see this, there are no really correct or right answers. There are no right answers or wrong answers. So it all depends on what's your own risk appetite. Like I said, I just mentioned Warren Buffett, that he said that's his own strategy. When everybody is selling, that's when he doesn't want to sell. Let it be there. If it becomes to zero, no problem, let it be there, right? But like I said, there is no right answer. It's all dependent on your own goals. What do you want to do? Why are you in that space? Why are you in that market? I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thanks
a
lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Questions. The next set are already joining in.
The next set?
Yes, I think.
No, there's no next set. We're supposed to stream it on Zoom
on
YouTube.
The next question is, how do stockbrokers make their profit? Do they charge fees for every transaction?
Yes, they do. They charge commission and fees. Fees is always in form of commission. So if you're buying, say, 1 million units of shares at so money, theirs is maybe a percentage of that, usually, which is always a negligible percent, something you will even pay attention. You might not even know, Seth, for maybe 0.01% or 0.1% or 1%. Sometimes really small that you may not be able to, it's not a big deal, but they charge you commission. Next question. Someone can talk now. Opeyemi, you can talk.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just really want to be clear. My question is quite similar to the last person that spoke. So now I want to understand that maybe after buying a $1 million share, for me to have the new profits now that is around 6 million, like you said, do I have to sell the whole 1 million unit of shares I bought to have that 5 million, or I can have my 5 million profit already and my 1 million naira is still there? Then another question is, do I also sell it at the current price? The company, just like you said, that the price increased from 1 naira to maybe 6 naira. Do I have to sell at that price, or I can sell at a distressed price or anything?
Okay,
thank you.
All right, Opeyemi, thank you. So this is it. When you sell, right? So what I have is 1 million units. 1 million units to get. Okay, let me walk us back. Let me talk in terms of units. Because what you are doing is, if I sold, so in Transcorp I have 6 million and 6.3 million naira. What is 6.3? 6.3 million is the value of the shares that I have. The shares that I have in units is 1 million units, right? So understand it that way. So it means that if I want to now take out the profit that I have made from their shares, you think I want to take out 5 million from the 6 million that is there. The implication is that my unit will no longer be 1 million again by the time I sell. Correct? Who can do the mathematics? What units would I now have? If 1 million gives me let's use 6 million. 1 million units gives me 6 million. And I desperately need 5 million naira. If I take 5 million naira from that portfolio, how many units will I have left? So anybody guys very good with mathematics, can you help us? Anybody?
100,000 units.
I'm on it, sir. Okay.
I think about 100 units will be left.
What is left?
100 units.
So if it's 100 units that is left, are you sure it's 100 units? What you just need to do is, okay, if I've taken out 5 million naira, I'll have 1 million naira left. So
100,000
and per unit.
100,000.
So just divide 1 million naira divided by price of per unit. So how many units do I now have now?
You'll be having 163.6 units left.
That is it. It means the value, the unit of shares that I have now is now 163,000. Is it 163,000?
166 units left.
That is it.
No, 166,000.
166,000 units. It means that's
price will give us the 1 million.
Thank you. So it means my 1 million unit has gone down to 166,000 units. Do you understand your point?
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
So it's units that you are selling. You're not selling you sell, of course, you sell at the market price. But the implication of selling is that your unit will reduce because you've sold the unit that brought you the profit, right? So you can say that I take out the 5 million naira, it means my unit has reduced, 166,000 units worth 1 million naira. That's what I now have there. You can stay like that. It's not an offense. You have not done any wrong to have done that. But you cannot take out 5 million and you still expect that your 1 million unit to be there. You understand? So that's the way stock works. You cannot take out, it's not a profit that you take out. It's not. I think I'm also trying to understand the question from your perspective. What you're thinking is, you're thinking about it in terms of gain. I invested 1 million into a business, right? When I invested 1 million, I made 5 million. So if I take my 5 million, my 1 million that I invested will still be there. Yes, it will still be there, but your 1 million is no longer there in terms of the 1 million in units, right? The unit has reduced. The 1 million naira is there as in the 1 million naira, but the number of units that 1 million can now buy now has reduced. Right. Let's hear. Did you ask another question though? Is that the only question?
No, the next one is reading.
All right.
Can you give further example of real estate investment companies that trade on stock exchange?
There are just 3 of them: Union, UDP, UPDC, and I forgot the last one. We are going to do REITs and real estate and ETFs. In that class is on the slide. I have the slide already, but I really cannot remember the name of the 3. There are just 3 of them. 3 companies listed on the stock exchange that are into this thing. I forgot the last one now. Yeah. Next person.
Hello, Shay.
Tosin, hello.
Yeah, what of people that do stock arbitrage, like they do it like forex, so they just buy shares, then once the share increases in value, they sell, and they use it to like maybe pay house rent, like they just make it, they see it as a business.
Yes.
They can use to sort out their personal issues, and they buy more shares, sell to sort out personal issues.
Excellent.
But they have also shares that are investing in the long term.
Excellent. Yes, it's not a bad thing. Like I said, every investment has a goal. You can have stock as a strategy to pay your short-term bills. It's not an offense. Just have your own goal. What is my goal for being in it? The only challenge with people that do this is when the price goes up and goes down. It means you need a certain level of skill to be able to predict the market, right? So you want to predict which shares will go up, which shares will go down. Okay, which share should I be buying? Which one should I not be buying? So you are doing what is called stock watch. You are permanently watching the market, right? But for a lot of us who are professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, and don't have the 100% time or knowledge required to run in that space, that is why we can now use it as an opportunity to build our own portfolio for the future. But there are people who do that, and it's not an offense. It's also a thing that you can explore. If you really want to use that as a side hustle, right? But you also need to be careful because people have done that as well and speculated and lost money. Do you understand? Yeah.
I think the last question is, do they pay dividend according to the units of shares you buy, or they pay all shareholders the same amount?
They pay dividend according to the units of shares. Just to see, they can't pay all you all the same now. So I have 1 million units. I sacrifice to buy 1 million units. They will not pay me the same price as someone who has 100 units. It doesn't make any sense. They pay you the way they say dividend. They will say Zenith Bank has declared interim dividend of 50 kobo per ordinary share. So if you have 100,000 shares in Zenith Bank, what you get is 100,000 times 50 kobo. If you have 1 billion shares in Zenith Bank, what you have is 50 kobo times 1 billion. So it's per unit. Next person.
Okay, hi Shay.
Hello.
Yeah, my question is, what if the list of stockbrokers firms you mentioned are not located where I am? What do I do? Because I'm in Calabar now, so I'm not sure these firms are here. And I heard about Stanbic.
Yeah, there's Stanbic too. Stanbic is there.
All right.
You don't, and they don't have to be in your, you don't have to, it's not a working situation. You can contact them online. You don't have to.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
If I buy shares and sell after 2 months before June mid-year, dividend payments will... Okay, if I buy shares and sell after 2 months before June mid-year, dividend payments will I still be paid the dividend for the month? I still hear that. I don't get your question. GLR. Do you want
I got the
to
question.
ask?
I understand the question. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you bought, what she's saying is, so companies pay shares, they pay dividend, half-year dividend in June. But I bought shares in January and I sold it in March. It means I wasn't there till that time. I think you still get a dividend. I think so. You still get a dividend prorated. You still get prorated dividend based on the number of months that you were there for. I think so. If you do not get, then it's something you need to make a complaint to the registrar of the company. So all companies have registrar, and the shares would normally be processed through the registrars. So you need to contact the registrars to complain. And I think you should get. It's your right because you were there for 2 months. Yeah. Next person. Let's try and round up because of time. We're almost 2 hours in this lecture. Next,
can I buy additional shares to an existing shares?
What?
Can I buy additional shares to an existing share?
Yes, you can. You can buy shares. Like I said, I buy shares every month. You can, because the truth is you may not be able to afford all the shares that you want to buy that will give you substantial income once. A lot of us cannot afford it. Who can afford? For you to buy shares that will give substantial income that makes sense, it has to be huge volume. A lot of us cannot afford it. So it's better we do it small. So every month, I have a quota of my income that goes into access by all the shares that I have. Even if it is 30,000 naira that goes into each of them, I do that every month. And anytime I get extra money as well, I put it into it to buy more units. So you can increase your stake in companies anytime you get extra money. Yeah. Any other question?
Okay, yes, I have a question, please.
Rashidat.
Yes, I noticed you've not been talking about the foreign shares.
Because this program is strictly about investing in Nigerian companies.
Okay, then one more question.
Yeah.
Okay, can you maybe give us an idea on how to, when you talk about portfolio diversification?
Yes.
You mentioned about the way you apportion your own in percentage. Can you explain further so that we can have an idea on how to do our own when we are building our own portfolio?
Okay. All right, that's fine, no problem. Let me show you something. I wrote a book that is called Beginner's Guide to Investing. Maybe some of you must have read it.
Yes, I have the book.
Okay, so I want to let me project. Okay, I want to project the part that talks about. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Is it clear? Can you see this pie chart? Is it clear to you from that side?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is a sample of how this is my own formula. You don't have to use it. And of course, the template. So this is what my portfolio looks like. This is what I'm working towards from now till I'm 45, 48, right? So this is what I'm working towards. I'm going to put 30% of my wealth in real estate. So it means at 50, if I'm worth $1 billion, 30% of 1 billion must be in real estate. 30% of 1 billion must be in real estate, right? 25% of it must be in cash and cash equivalent. I explained this cash and cash equivalent before, that do not put all your eggs in real estate. No matter how real estate is sweet, don't put all your money there, because I've seen people, Yoruba people, Olu property and Igbanjo, he sold his property in distress sale because he needed money and he didn't have cash. What is the essence? You have property worth $1 billion and you need 100,000 naira, you don't have it because all your money is inside real estate. So you must have cash and cash equivalents. And there are instruments that you can put your money into that within 24 hours, you can call your money back. You can get it back. Example of such instrument is called money market, which is an offshoot, which is a division of mutual funds. We would explain that in subsequent classes. So 25% in cash and cash equivalent, 10% in equities, right? Like I said, within this 10%, it doesn't mean 10%. So my $1 billion net worth now, $100 million to be in equity. But that $100 million will not be in one place. Even in that equity, I will now still divide it to say 2%, or I can say 1%. I can say 2% per industry. I can even say 5% into Nigerian stock and 5% to foreign stock. I can diversify by geography. There are two ways to diversify, in fact, several ways. You can diversify by asset class, what we are doing is asset class, and you can also diversify by geography, meaning that I can do international stock as part of my portfolio. Then the last one, 35% of my net worth will be in entrepreneurship. And when they say entrepreneurship, you don't have to run the business by yourself. Trust God that you get to that stage in your life where you'll be invested, you become they call them angel investor. You become an angel investor into the businesses of you don't have to be a business, you don't have to run the business yourself. You just look for businesses with growth potentials and invest, strategically pick them, invest into them as an angel investor, and they run the business, they run the show, and they pay you the money. A very good example, look at the people who invested into Paystack when Paystack was just a small business. And of course, angel investing has its own disadvantage or has its own challenges, which is that the rule that guides angel investing or private equity is, or venture capitalists, is that 8 in every of the 10 businesses that you invest into will fail. So if you invest as an angel into 10 businesses, 8 will fail. But the 2 that will pay, they will pay you for much more than what those 8 would have paid you. They will cover up for the losses that you have made. So that's an example of portfolio diversification I'm talking about. Let's go to the next question.
The next question is, so the more you buy at the new price, right?
Yes, at the new price. Next question.
Do you have foreign stockbrokers we can invest with? I prefer to earn in dollars.
Sorry? Do you have
foreign stockbrokers we can invest with? I prefer to earn in dollars.
So all Nigerian stockbroking firms have foreign denominated instrument that you can invest in. That's what is called Eurobond, right? That is denominated in euro. There is dollar mutual fund that you can invest in dollars. All stockbroking firms in Nigeria has it. So just contact any of them. They will show you the list of the products. Codros will take us through the list of their products, including their foreign denominated instruments that we can invest in. Yeah, next question.
If you buy shares today and for some reasons you need the money tomorrow, would there be an extra charge if you're selling?
Transaction charge, yes. Transaction charge, which is the commission of the broker. But no, which I also said again that is insignificant. It's just small money. So you can buy it and sell tomorrow. Nobody's holding you. It's your money now. Nobody's holding you.
I think that's all.
So I think people that thought there was a 130 class, they are trying to join.
Oh, really?
Because these new entries, there are a lot. I've been admitting a lot of people. So okay, I'm not sure they got the information.
Let's do this. I will just run the class again. So add them. So if there are no other questions, is there any other question from this session? If there are no other questions, we'll just...
No, yes, I have a question, please.
Okay. What's your name?
Good afternoon.
Another thing, just try and put your name. I'm seeing iPhone. Is iPhone your name? iPhone, I'm listening.
I'll change that. Thank you. All right. So following what Okoyemi asked initially, yes, understanding that when you buy some units of shares and you want to resell like the profit in quotes, there'll be a reduction, in the units that you have. So are there investments that, say I put 100 units or I buy 100 units or 100 whatever, I just want access to the profit. I can just always access my profit and still leave the initial capital. Do you understand?
I understand. Yes, there are investments like that. A very good example. We'll still talk about all those investments. Do you understand? We cannot cover everything in a day. It's a lot. But let me just quickly give you a snippet into that. There is what is called bonds.
Stop watching phone.
We have a baby in this class. Wow. There's what is called bonds, right? When you buy bonds, your money is intact. What bonds pays you? Bonds pays you fixed interest. And that's what you're talking about. So if you buy, I saw a question where someone said FGM bond. I should explain FGM bond. we have a class on bond, but because that has come, let me just quickly take it. So if you buy bonds, say you buy bonds of 100K, and they said the interest is 12% per annum, and they said it's a 3-year bond. What that means is that every year you get 12%. That's 100,000. That is 12,000 naira. 12,000 naira is 12% of 100,000. So it means you get 12,000 naira every year for the entire life of that contract. So you get 12,000 on year 1, 12,000 year 2, 12,000 year 3. Those kind of investments are called fixed income investments or fixed income instruments, right? Where you only get fixed percentages and your capital is intact. Another example of that is money market. Money market also is a fixed income instrument. If you buy money market right now, let's say you put 100,000 in money market, and they said the money market is a 1-year money market at 15%, but you have the option of calling your funds, and you can also reinvest. So whatever option you choose, let's say you chose the call out my option, my call out my investment option, meaning that at the end of the year, your interest and principal is paid, and you can say no. I just want the interest at the end of the year, pull back the principal. But if you are doing that, the goal, you will not enjoy compounding, which is one of the major reasons why we invest. So if every year you tell them to pay out your interest, pay out my interest, pay out my interest, I want to do something that is 10 years. And every year I want my interest to be paid out to me. At the end of that 10 years, yes, I'll be chopping the interest every year. But when the 10 years comes, it's still my 1 million, whatever it is I invest, which then won't be 1 million again because inflation would have set time value of money versus real value of money and all of that. So, but if you had left the interest, no, leave it, let it compound. So it means in year 1, I like using 1 million because it's easier for me. I invested 1 million at 10%. The interest is 100,000 at the end of the year. I said, no, I don't want this to reinvest. When they are investing that 1 point, it means total I have at the end of year 1 is 1.1 million. You say reinvest. They reinvest it for year 2. At the end of year 2, I'm no longer getting 100,000. I'm getting 10% of 1.1 million. They reinvested that one. At the end of year 3, I'm no longer getting 1.1 million. I'm not getting 1.1 million plus the 10% of that. So that's the magic of compounding interest, which is why we really invest essentially. I hope I answered that question. Next question. Let's just take 1 or 2 more questions so that we can round off and other people can come. What is the class of that? What's the time? Rose, help me. What's the class of that the time of that other class though?
1:30.
1:30.
1:30. This is 5 minutes to 2 now.
Oh, wow. Okay, we need to go then. We need to go. If you have any other question, maybe you just join the other, send the questions to the group. I'll answer the question on the group. Thank you, everyone. So you guys can admit the other guys. Thank you, everyone. And I will stop the class now. I will send the recording to us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. My co-host, guys, you can help me.